now that I'm in Photoshop, I can double click on this smart object to open it back up in Camera Raw. You'll remember that I cannot edit directly onto a Camera Raw image. And so let's say I am interested, and I'm going to zoom in with spacebar and command. So I've got spacebar and command. Let's say I'm interested in taking out all of these little flourishes on the wallpaper. I could use the healing brush or the clone stamp, but I'm not going to be able to use the clone stamp or the healing brush on that smart object directly. And so what I need to do is I need to make a new layer. So I can go to layer, new layer, I can press Shift Command N, or I can go down to this little new layer icon here in the right hand side and create a new layer that way. And I'm going to call this clone stamp or heal, because I might be using a combination of the two. And so now what I can do is I can go over to my clone stamp, and as long as I have a couple things set, I can actually use this to sample this bottom layer. And so you're going to see up here, here's my clone stamp, here's the size and the hardness and the type of brush that I'm using. I can select my mode. There's also opacity. I can set the pressure point and the flow point if I'm using a Wacom pen. And then I can align or unalign that sample. But most important, there's 3 ways that I can clone stamp. I can stamp on the current layer, and if I do that, there's nothing on that layer to stamp. I could do current and below, which will do this clone stamp, and then it will sample this bottom layer, which is the way I'm going to do it, or I could do all layers. And so if you already have some adjustment layers, you could do all layers. But I tend to work in a way in which I do all of my clone stamping first. So I'm going to do current and below. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to start here in this bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to press the Option key to sample this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over, and I'm going to clone stamp that out. Now if I don't like that, and I don't like how that's working, I can switch to the healing brush. I'm using my right bracket key to make my brush bigger. I'm using my left bracket key to make it smaller. I can press the Option key again to set the sample, and then the healing brush is maybe going to work a little bit better. And the reason I actually like doing this on a new layer, on its own separate layer, is you see it has that sampling, and I could actually go in with the eraser tool and erase out that sample that I did with the clone stamp that I didn't like, and then I'm going to go back to the healing brush. And so now I can go in and I can sample all of this. Maybe I'll go under here to sample that out. Maybe I'll try and keep that brightness there. Maybe I'll use this line to sort of heal there. And now I can go and take out all of this stuff. Now this is a bad example because I think these flourishes are pretty cool, but that is using the clone stamp. You can use this to retouch trash. You can use this to retouch blemishes. But you'll now see I have this labeled clone stamp, and if I turn off and on this bottom layer, you can see that this is working really well. And if I want to sort of bring those back in, if I decide later, I can just turn that clone stamp heal layer off.